Hey guys, it's me. And as I've said, I want to do this It's Swag Talk thing to improve my blog. And I guess here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel has a lot of problems lately, and one of them is our injured list. Yeah. But I want to talk about the other problems, and there are, for example, rotations, the system, and the formations. So, lately Thomas Tuchel rotated a lot. He had to because if he let the main players play all the time, I guess we had more injured players, maybe. But the problem is that if young players and in general a team or a club that hasn't played that much together plays then, for example, Tuchel lets Kagawa, Rode and Ramos play in a match, and then in the next game he plays Götze, Aubameyang, and Weigl. Then the other players who were in that match haven't played with them, and the big problem then is there is not the team synergy that or the my English um chemistry, I think it's called. I mean, they didn't play that much on the pitch together. For example, if a Pulisic now is playing with a Gonzalo Castro is playing as 8 and Pulisic is on the wing. Pretty much Gonzo and Puli know how to combine stuff, how for example he has to pass, how for example he has to run. But then if Pulisic has to play in the next game with Kagawa, then Kagawa and Pulisic, of course people will not say, oh, they're training and stuff, but yeah, but in the game it's different. It's not like then in the training you have different opponents, and for example they could mark you and then the player is in trouble, for example. Or if it's like in Schalke where they are all very defensive playing, so you never know. And then, for example, Kagawa and Puli doesn't know how to combine then in the right moment because they haven't played that much together, and that was the pretty much a problem for this man Thomas Tuchel because he rotated a lot. He had to switch. He had different systems, and I guess that was the problem for us lately because in the game against Leverkusen we had different players on. He rotated in that game and we lost. Then again, we had a match I think that we won. Nah, then was a break and then was the Hertha game. Yeah, the Hertha game was pretty much also because of the international duty. Some players were worked off, but that was also a game where he rotated a lot, I think. And then also against Ingolstadt, I mean that game we had Weide in the goal, and Ramos was also playing, and Gonzo they came all back after the injury, and then it was obvious that we're not gonna play that good. And yeah, with Schalke again, we have always these type of different formations, and for Tuchel, I feel like you see him a lot on the pitch where he scream. I mean, not on the pitch, but this side lane for the coaches, and you see him a lot screaming and pointing out because he's changing a lot during the game. And I feel like for young players, for example, for Puli, Dembe, or Paslak, whatever, um, they have kind of problems to adapt to that because when you're training and focusing on one thing and then suddenly it's like an exam where you learn everything for one thing and then the other thing comes, then you're kind of screwed. And that's the same thing, like I feel like that the young players have kind of struggled to adapt to the changes Tuchel makes during the game, and then you see him a lot of disappointed, he hands on his face. And I feel like he needs the type of players, for example, of Marco or Andre, who are already who are older and have this kind of experience. What is this? We have the kind of experience to know how Tuchel wants them to play, and that's the problem. I mean, the young players are getting into it. They're having good games for sure, but they're having some games where they're really bad. And I hope just that Tuchel, when the players are back, for example, Shu and Rafa are already gone back. They played, and they're gonna be fit again. I think. I mean, they're gonna be fit for sure, but when they're gonna be 100% is not sure. I think after the international break, they will be fit for Bayern. But the main thing is that Tuchel rotated a lot, and he had different type of formations, and the system was different, and people shouldn't just judge from the training. I feel like in the game it's completely different because the enemy team and the style how they play, and I feel like that Tuchel has he has a really hard job to do. I mean, I love this man, and I feel like he has a really really hard task, whatever you want to say it. And yeah, I feel like that people. I mean, of course, we're upset we didn't win and we didn't get 3 points, but he has a really, really big task to accomplish, and I feel like that he will do well and he will accomplish it. But for right now, I just wanted to point out why Tuchel has problems, and I hope that it will be fixed. I feel like that when the players play more, for example Dembele and stuff, they they get better every time. You see their improvement, and even through that, when some players maybe get injured again, I feel like the Tuchel will then have them, into the game. I mean, there are a lot of new players and they're new into Tuchel stuff, and that's the problem for him. That's last season it was different for him. Now it's even harder, and whoa, what is this? And I feel like that when the first half break of the Bundesliga comes and then the second starts, the Borussia Dortmund will then be very very strong. I mean, then half of a year we already played every player, played together, and I feel like and I think that everyone then understood the type of thing that Tuchel wants from him. And then the second half of the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund will pretty much dominate the league. I can pretty sure confirm that because I'm not seeing the future stuff, but I know that if all the players are gonna be back, and now we are getting play and play because we have some games where we really play well. I mean, against Real Madrid, or Real Madrid, how we say it, and all these type of things. There were games where we played really, very well, and if we can play this on a constant level, then I feel like that we're gonna be very, very strong. And yeah, that's the problems for now, the rotations and all the stuff, but they will be fixed, and I hope that we can then win and hopefully show the full potential of this team, because one man knows for sure, it's this boy, that this team can be one of the top teams, not only in the Bundesliga but also international. And we just beat almost Real Madrid. I feel like people may forgot this. So yeah, let's see how the season will go and the next weeks. I feel like that we will win against Hamburg, but then the problem is, will we beat Bayern, because Bayern is type of different thing. But I feel like that he can manage it. Yeah.